my darkest moment in my journey was attempting suicide because I was unheard. I felt the world was against me. It was a very lonely journey into healing. I feel that the only option for me was to end my life. I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and this happened from a very young age. And, it's always been at the back of my mind. It's resulted in things like attempting suicide. It's resulted in things like using drugs, abusing alcohol. Our family was going through a very tough time. My parents were separated briefly, and we were moved to our hometown to go school and study. So it happened from the age of 5 to 9, 5 years till 9 years old. And just around the neighborhood, it was someone close to the family. And it happened. I felt like I couldn't tell anyone. There was a lot of shame when it was happening. I didn't talk about it. I couldn't. And it resulted in, later in my life, I started to turn to things at a very young age. I was turning to alcohol. I got addicted to it. I would literally go to the clubs and drink until I got numb. If I ever were to see the perpetrator, I would go into this violent bursts where I'd have to catch a fight or get into some fight at night because my anger was being misplaced. I hadn't recognized or allowed myself to fully heal from that experience. The first 2 people I told were very dear to me. And they didn't believe me at first when I told them. And as a matter of fact, because this other person was very close, they started ridiculing me, saying, "Oh, you're probably just making it up." And I didn't have this conversation with them. I didn't bring it up with them after they shamed me that day until earlier this year. I was able to talk to the same 2 people that I ran to the last time. It's not that we lost that relationship. I couldn't, because they're 2 very close people to me. We continued to talk, but it was just something that I kept at the back of my head was, I can never tell them things that I go through because otherwise I'll only be met with judgment. So this is something that I sort of internalized. Because I was shamed about it, and the first 2 people that I spoke to told me that I was lying, I just felt like I couldn't talk to anyone about it. I eventually, gathered the courage to talk to someone, and a very close person in our church that I was able to talk to. What's challenging for me in terms of being a man is being the typical man that everyone expects a man to look like. Expect to go to the gym. You're expected to have this big masculine look. You're expected to, living up to that image. Now that I've, learned that I'm able to be myself, I don't have to live up to these images, and I'm not pressured into it. But I think growing up that, this is something that continuously pressures you or, hangs over your head, that it starts to create crisis, whether it be identity, whether it be just your representation of a man, it can create a lot of crisis. So now that I've, sort of graduated into a place where I'm happy to just be who I am. In 2020, I found sort of my voice, and it was in helping widows in my community. And, upon helping them, I found that most of them didn't have someone to talk to or someone to just listen to them with all the daily struggles that they were facing. So, I found it as an opportunity, and it was almost an eye-opener for me to maybe look at something in this field of counseling and take it seriously. Nature is another thing that, whether it be the water or into the forest, this is something that, that keeps me grounded and sort of centers myself anytime I feel that there's too much going on in the world. What I love about the Lesuva is even getting to the swimming area, you can trek in. So it's like a long walk through this gravel road. You have the trees on both sides, vast forest. And as you trek through it, you can hear all the birds chirping, all the different kinds of birds, even species that I never knew existed here in Fiji. This conversation is so important because it allows us to shine light on certain things that we don't talk about. It's things that we always hear about and have small talk about, but I think it is important that we have this conversation on a bigger scale.
Someday we'll make it on by. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way, we go together. Someday we'll make it on by. Other days we only can try. Either way, no matter what people say. Either way, we go together. I believe in the future. I believe in the past. I believe what you truly desire. You can bring